The small human shuttle landed quietly in the green fields of Kepler 442c. Dust swirled around its metal feet as the engines powered down. Min-jun Park stepped out first, his dark eyes scanning the alien landscape. 3 other humans followed him, each carrying simple bags and peaceful smiles. The world around them was beautiful. Purple trees swayed in the gentle wind. Strange flowers bloomed in colors that had no names on Earth. The air smelled sweet and clean. This was the home of the Zelani, a species humanity had never met before. Min-jun had spent 2 years learning their language from radio signals. He practiced their customs from old data files. Now he stood on their world, ready to make friends. His job was simple: show the Zelani that humans came in peace. A group of Zelani emerged from behind the purple trees. They moved slowly, like walking plants. Their skin was green and brown, with patterns like bark. Long arms ended in finger-like branches. Their faces were kind but worried. They had never seen creatures like humans before. The eldest Zelani stepped forward. She was taller than the others, with silver patterns on her bark-like skin. This was Elder Thara, the leader Min-jun had heard about in the radio messages. Min-jun bowed low, the way Zelani showed respect. He spoke carefully in their clicking language. "We come from far away. We bring gifts and friendship. We mean no harm." Elder Thara's branch fingers moved in surprise. Few outsiders could speak their ancient tongue so well. She clicked back softly. "You learned our words. Why?" "Because friendship starts with understanding," Min-jun replied. He gestured to his team. "We brought things to help your people." Dr. Sarah Chen opened her bag and pulled out a small device. It hummed quietly and began to glow. She placed it near a muddy stream that ran through the fields. Within minutes, the water became crystal clear. The Zelani gasped. Their water had been dirty for many seasons. Sickness had spread among their children because of it. Now, it sparkled like diamonds. "This machine cleans water," Dr. Chen explained in simple Zelani words. "Your children will be healthy now." Elder Thara touched the device with wonder. "You fix our water. But what do you want from us?" Min-jun smiled. "Nothing. We want to be friends. Friends help friends." Over the next few days, the humans showed more gifts. They brought medicine that could heal plant diseases. They shared seeds that could grow food in bad soil. But the best gift was their kindness. When young Zelani were afraid, the humans sat with them patiently. When Elder Thara's own child became sick, Dr. Chen worked day and night to help. She used human medicine mixed with Zelani herbs. The child got better. Min-jun spent his evenings learning more about Zelani culture. He sat with Elder Thara under the purple trees, sharing stories of both their worlds. She told him about the old times, when Zelani lived in perfect balance with nature. He told her about human cities, about art and music, and dreams of exploring space. "Your people are strange," Elder Thara said one evening. "You could take what you want from us. You have powerful ships and tools. But instead, you give gifts." "That is what friends do," Min-jun said. "We have enough. When we have enough, we share." The other humans worked just as hard. Dr. Chen helped sick Zelani every day. Engineer Ko helped build better homes that would last through storms. Communications Officer Lee set up devices that let distant Zelani villages talk to each other for the first time. The Zelani had never seen such generosity. Most outsiders who came to their world wanted something: rare minerals, land, or workers. The humans only wanted to help. After 2 weeks, the humans announced they would build a small embassy. "We want to stay and keep helping," Min-jun explained to a gathering of Zelani leaders. "But only if you want us here." The Zelani talked among themselves in their clicking language. Some were still afraid. Change was hard, even good change. But most could see that the humans were true friends. Elder Thara stood up to speak for all of them. You may stay. You have shown us kindness we have never known. Our children are healthy because of you. Our crops will grow strong because of you. We welcome you as family. That night, there was a great celebration. Zelani and humans sat together around glowing fires. They shared food and stories. Dr. Chen tried to copy the Zelani singing, which sounded like wind through leaves. The Zelani laughed as Engineer Ko showed them simple magic tricks with human technology. As the night grew late, Elder Thera approached Minjun. She carried something precious in her branch hands. It was a crystal, clear as water but filled with swirling lights. This is our most sacred gift, she said. We give it only to true family. It means our friendship will last forever. Minjun took the crystal carefully. It felt warm and seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. I will treasure this always, he promised. But as they celebrated, none of them noticed the small metal object that had appeared at the edge of their star system. It was a scout ship from the Krex Empire. The Krex were always looking for new worlds to conquer. They had heard radio signals from this peaceful planet. Soon they would come to investigate. The humans had brought gifts of healing, friendship, and hope. They had shown the Zelani that the universe held wonders beyond their dreams. They had planted seeds of a friendship that could last for generations. But the humans had also brought something else, though they did not know it yet. They had brought a connection that ran deeper than mere friendship. The Zelani were now under human protection, whether the humans knew it or not. And anyone who threatened something humans cared about would learn that human gifts were matched only by human fury. The celebration continued under the alien stars, full of joy and hope for the future. Tomorrow would bring new wonders, new learning, and new bonds between the species. Neither the humans nor the Zelani could imagine how soon that friendship would be tested. 6 months had passed since the humans arrived on Kepler 442c. The small embassy had grown into a beautiful center where both species learned from each other. Human buildings stood next to Zelani tree houses, creating a harmony that made visitors stop and stare in wonder. The water purification machines now cleaned every stream on the continent. Zelani children played in crystal-clear rivers for the first time in generations. The medicine doctor, Chen brought, had ended the plant sickness that used to kill young Zelani every winter. Now, the population was growing, healthy, and strong. But the humans had given more than just tools and medicine. They had shared knowledge that changed how the Zelani saw the universe. Engineer Ko had helped them build solar panels from local materials. The Zelani no longer needed to burn their sacred trees for warmth. Instead, they captured sunlight and turned it into power. Their villages glowed softly at night with clean energy. Amazing, said Kira, a young Zelani scientist who worked with Dr. Chen every day. Your people think of problems and then solve them. We always accepted things as they were. Dr. Chen smiled as she mixed human and Zelani medicines in her lab. That is what makes this partnership perfect. You understand nature better than we do. We understand tools better than you do. Together, we can do anything. The lab they shared had become famous across the planet. Human science, mixed with Zelani plant knowledge, created medicines that worked better than either species could make alone. Zelani from distant continents came to learn the new healing methods. In the center of the embassy, a special garden grew. It was Elder Thera's proudest creation. Human flowers grew next to Zelani plants. Vegetables from Earth shared soil with fruits from Kepler 442c. The different species helped each other grow stronger and more beautiful. This garden shows our friendship, Elder Thara told Minjun as they walked through it together. Separate, we were good. Together, we are magnificent. Minjun touched a purple earth rose that had adapted to the alien soil. My people have a saying. A tree with deep roots can weather any storm. Our friendship has deep roots now. The communication network officer Lee had built connected Zilani villages across 3 continents. For the first time in their history, all Zilani could share knowledge and help each other. When storms hit the northern continent, southern villages sent supplies through the human transport system. When the eastern forests discovered a new medicine plant, western healers knew about it within hours. Young Zilani learned human languages while humans studied Zilani plant songs. Cultural exchange happened every day. Human children, born at the embassy, grew up speaking both languages and understanding both ways of life. The humans had also learned much from their new friends. Zilani meditation techniques helped humans' stress and anxiety. Their understanding of natural balance improved human farming methods. Their philosophy of patience and growth changed how humans approached problems. But as the friendship deepened, danger grew closer in the darkness of space. The Krex Empire had been watching Kepler 442c for months. Their scout ships reported rich resources and a weak, peaceful population. The Krex saw opportunity. They were a warrior race that conquered worlds to feed their endless hunger for power and wealth. General Vorthak studied the reports from his massive warship. The Zilani had no weapons, no military, no defenses. It would be an easy conquest. But the reports also mentioned humans living on the planet. What do we know about these humans? Vorthak asked his intelligence officer. They appear to be traders or diplomats, General. No military presence detected. Their ships are small and carry no weapons. They seem to be running some kind of aid mission. Vorthak laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Aid mission. How pathetic. These soft creatures will not interfere with our conquest. Back on Kepler 442c, Minjun stood in Elder Thera's garden watching the sunset. The sacred crystal she had given him hung around his neck, warm against his chest. He had learned to read the Zilani light patterns that showed friendship, love, and trust. Dr. Chen joined him, wiping dirt from her hands. She had been helping plant new healing herbs that would grow strong in the winter months. The integration is going better than we hoped, she said. The Zilani have adapted our technology while keeping their culture. We have learned their harmony while keeping our drive to improve things. Yes, Minjun nodded. But I worry about outside threats. This is a peaceful world in a dangerous galaxy. The Zilani have no experience with hostile species. Dr. Chen frowned. You think someone might try to attack them? I hope not. But we should be prepared. Tomorrow, I will send a request to Earth for defensive assistance, just in case. That night, Elder Thara held a feast to celebrate the success of the human Zilani farms. The hybrid crops had produced 3 times more food than anyone expected. There would be no hunger on Kepler 442c this winter. Kira presented her latest discovery. A combination of human antibiotics and Zilani root extract that could heal injuries in half the normal time. The young scientist had become a bridge between the species, understanding both human science and Zilani wisdom. This is just the beginning, she told the gathered crowd. In 10 years, we will have solutions to problems we have not even discovered yet. The celebration continued late into the night. Humans and Zilani danced together under the stars. Children of both species played games that mixed human rules with Zilani traditions. Elder Thara and Minjun sat together, planning new projects and dreams for the future. Neither of them noticed the small flicker of light at the edge of the star system. A Krex probe had just jumped into normal space and began scanning the planet below. In 3 days, it would report back to General Vorthak with detailed information about defenses, population, and resources. The probe's instruments recorded everything. The peaceful cities, the mixed species gardens, the complete lack of military installations. It noted the small human presence but classified them as non-threatening civilians. But the probe missed something important. Hidden in the quantum noise of the communication network, there were encrypted signals being sent to distant human worlds. Minjun had already contacted Earth about potential threats. defensive preparations were quietly beginning. As the Zilani and humans celebrated their friendship under the alien stars, forces were moving in the darkness that would soon test every bond they had built. The gifts of human friendship were about to be challenged by those who saw only weakness in kindness and opportunity in peace. The Krex war fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a storm of metal and death. 50 massive ships appeared around Kepler 442c, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. They had come to conquer, not to negotiate. On the planet below, Zilani, across every continent, looked up at the night sky and saw new stars that moved and pulsed with angry red light. Fear spread faster than the morning sun. The peaceful plant people had never seen warships before, but they understood the threat in those burning lights. At the embassy, Min-jun received the first communication from the Krex fleet. General Vorthak's scarred face filled the screen, his metal teeth gleaming as he spoke in heavily accented standard. Primitive tree creatures of this world. You will surrender immediately. Your planet now belongs to the Krex Empire. You have 72 hours to gather your leaders for processing. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your cities. The transmission cut off. Min-jun stared at the blank screen, his mind racing. He had hoped they would have more time to prepare defenses. The warning message he had sent to Earth 6 months ago had resulted in some hidden preparations, but nothing that could stop a fleet this size. Dr. Chen burst into the communication room, her face pale. Min-jun, they just destroyed the orbital agriculture station. No warning. No reason. They killed 300 Zilani workers just to show their power. Elder Thera arrived moments later, supported by other Zilani leaders. The old plant being was shaking, not from fear, but from grief. Our people are terrified, she said, her voice like rustling leaves. We have no weapons, no way to fight such creatures. What do we do? Min-jun felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. These peaceful people had become family to him. The sacred crystal around his neck seemed to grow heavy with the trust they had placed in human friendship. We evacuate the children and elders first, he said firmly. Dr. Chen, activate the emergency protocols. Get everyone to the underground shelters we built near the water treatment plants. For the next day, humans and Zilani worked together to move the most vulnerable to safety. The underground shelters had been disguised as expanded water treatment facilities. They could hold thousands of Zilani and had enough supplies for weeks. Min-jun tried everything he could think of to buy time. He opened communication channels with General Vorthak, offering to negotiate a peaceful solution. I am Ambassador Min-jun Park of the United Earth Federation, he said during the second transmission. These people are under human protection. I request a meeting to discuss terms. Vorthak's laughter was like grinding stone. Human protection? I see 4 humans on a planet of millions of tree creatures. You have no weapons, no fleet, no power here. These creatures will work in our mines or they will die. You may leave now or share their fate. Give us more time to consider your offer, Min-jun said, trying to keep his voice steady. Surely the mighty Krex Empire can afford patience. You have 50 hours remaining, Vorthak replied. Use them wisely. Throughout the embassy, the small human team worked frantically. Dr. Chen and Kira gathered critical research data and medical supplies. Engineer Ko helped move the most important cultural artifacts to the shelters. Officer Li sent coded messages to every human outpost within 50 light years. But they all knew the truth. 4 humans could not stop 50 warships. Elder Thara found Min-jun that evening in her beloved garden. The hybrid plants seemed to droop with sadness, sensing the fear in the air. She carried a small bag containing seeds from every plant they had grown together. If we die, she said softly, these seeds will carry our friendship to other worlds. The Zilani will not be completely lost. Min-jun took the bag, his hands shaking. You will not die. I promise you that. Somehow, We will find a way. You have already given us so much, Elder Thara replied. Clean water, medicine, hope for the future. Our children have lived longer because of you. That is enough. As the second day passed, the Kreks grew impatient. They sent smaller ships to buzz Zilani cities, showing off their weapons and spreading terror. Several agricultural centers were bombed as examples. Hundreds more Zilani died. Kira worked beside Dr. Chen to save the injured, but they were overwhelmed. There are too many hurt people, she said, tears flowing down her bark-like cheeks. We cannot help them all. With 12 hours left in the ultimatum, disaster struck. A Krex bomber targeted Elder Thara's garden, claiming it was a military installation because humans used it. The bombing was precise and cruel. They wanted to destroy the symbol of human Zilani friendship. Minjun ran through the burning plants, searching for survivors. He found Elder Thara, trapped under a fallen tree, her body broken and dying. The sacred crystal around his neck was cracked, reflecting the scattered light of the burning garden. Elder Thara, hold on. Dr. Chen can help you, he said, cradling her ancient head. No, young friend, she whispered. My time has ended. But remember, a gift freely given creates bonds stronger than metal. They destroy our garden, but they cannot destroy what it means. She pressed something into his hand. It was a seed from the first human Zilani flower they had grown together. Plant this somewhere safe. Let it grow again. Elder Thara died in his arms as the garden burned around them. Minjun stood slowly, still holding the seed. Something had changed in him. The grief and rage that filled his heart was like nothing he had ever felt. These creatures had killed his friend. They had destroyed something beautiful just to cause pain. He walked to the communication room, where Dr. Chen waited with tears on her face. Officer Li stood ready at his console. Engineer Ko had armed the few defensive systems they had managed to hide around the planet. Minjun sat down and composed a message. Not to the Kreks, but to Earth. It was a special code that every human diplomat knew, but hoped never to use. The message was simple, but it carried the weight of species-wide fury. This is Ambassador Park on Kepler 442c. The gifts have been scorned, and the innocent shed blood. Elder Thara is dead. The garden burns. Request immediate response authorization. Crimson Protocol. He sent the message and waited. In less than an hour, the reply came from Earth Defense Command. It was even shorter than his message. Authorization granted. Hold position. Fleet deploying. Show them what human friendship really means. Minjun looked at his small team. Contact General Vorthak. Tell him his 72 hours are up. Tell him we choose to fight. In the darkness between stars, ancient human war machines that had slept for decades began to wake up. The most peaceful species in the galaxy had just become the most dangerous. The Kreks had made a simple mistake. They had hurt something humans loved. Now they would learn that human gifts were indeed everlasting, but human wrath could destroy entire worlds. The first sign that everything had changed came 18 hours after Minjun sent his message to Earth. General Vorthak was preparing to begin the final assault when his sensors detected something impossible. Space around Kepler 442c was suddenly filled with human ships. They had not jumped in through hyperspace. They had not approached from any direction. They were simply there, as if they had been waiting in the darkness all along. Hundreds of sleek vessels surrounded the Kreks fleet in a perfect sphere. Where did they come from? Vorthak roared at his sensor officer. Unknown, General. Our instruments show they materialized from quantum stealth fields. They have been hiding in our blind spots since we arrived. Admiral Jinsu Kim's face appeared on every Kreks communication screen at once. He was a calm, older human with steel-gray hair and eyes like winter storms. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. General Vorthak of the Kreks Empire. You have attacked friends of humanity. You have destroyed gifts freely given. You have killed innocents who welcomed strangers with open hearts. This is Admiral Kim of the Human Defense Fleet. You have one chance to surrender. Vorthak's face twisted with rage. Impossible! Our intelligence reports showed no human military presence in this system. You are bluffing with civilian ships. Your intelligence was meant to see exactly what we wanted it to see, Admiral Kim replied. The same humans who gave water purifiers and medicine to the Zilani also gave them something else. Protection. We have been here since the first day. Watching. Waiting. Around the Krex fleet, the human ships began to move. They flowed like water, surrounding each enemy vessel with precise coordination. For every Krex warship, there were 3 human vessels taking position. You destroyed something precious to us, Admiral Kim continued. Elder Thera was a friend to humanity. The garden she tended was a symbol of what the universe could become. You burned it for pleasure. Now you face the consequences. Vorthak tried to regain control. We outnumber your ships. Our weapons are larger. You cannot defeat the Krex Empire. Your ships are larger, Admiral Kim agreed. But you made the mistake of bringing warships to a fight with humans who are protecting their family. The human attack began without warning. It was not the wild charging of angry warriors. It was the precise, calculated fury of a species that had spent centuries perfecting the art of war while hoping never to use it. Captain Yuki Tanaka led the first wave. Her stealth fighters moved like ghosts through space, appearing just long enough to strike before vanishing again. Her target was the Krex flagship's weapon systems. The massive guns that could destroy cities were cut away, piece by piece. Target their engines next, she ordered her pilots. Keep them alive, but helpless. The Krex tried to fight back, but they were facing something they had never encountered before. The humans fought with the same intensity they brought to everything else. The same passion that made them spend months learning Zilani customs now drove them to perfect military tactics. Engineer Ko, still on the planet below, activated hidden systems that had been disguised as communication relays. Defensive platforms rose from lakes and mountainsides, adding their firepower to the space battle. What the Krex had thought was a defenseless world was actually a fortress. How is this possible? Vorthak demanded as his ships were systematically disabled around him. On the planet, Min Jun watched the battle through Officer Lee's instruments. Dr. Chen and Kira worked beside him, coordinating the evacuation of wounded Krex crew members who ejected from damaged ships. Even now, they save their enemies, Kira marveled. Humans truly are strange creatures. We fight to protect, not to destroy, Minjun explained. But we will fight as hard as necessary. The battle lasted only 4 hours. When it was over, the entire Krex fleet hung powerless in space. Their weapons were gone, their engines disabled, their communication systems under human control. Not a single Krex had been killed, but their military power was completely broken. Admiral Kim opened communication with every ship in the Krex fleet. You came here to conquer a peaceful world. Instead, you have learned what happens when humanity's gifts are rejected with violence. Your empire ends today. Wait, Vorthak pleaded. We can negotiate. We can pay tribute. Name your price. You already paid the only price we wanted, Admiral Kim replied. You showed us who you really are. Your warships will be recycled into medical equipment and schools. Your weapons will become tools for building, not destroying. Your soldiers will learn new jobs, helping others, instead of hurting them. But the humans were not finished. Captain Tanaka's fleet had already jumped to the Krex home system. Other human task forces moved against Krex military bases across 3 sectors. The empire that had ruled through fear for 2 centuries was being dismantled in a single day. On Kepler 442c, the Zilani emerged from their shelters to find human medical teams already treating the wounded. Supply ships began landing with materials to rebuild everything the Krex had destroyed. Dr. Chen found Minjun standing in the ruins of Elder Thara's garden. He held the seed she had given him, turning it over in his hands. "It will grow again," she said softly. "The garden, the friendship, everything they tried to destroy." "Yes," Minjun agreed. "But it will be different now. The Zilani have seen that the universe holds both great kindness and terrible cruelty. They can never be as innocent as they were." Kira approached them, carrying a bag of soil from the undamaged parts of the garden. Elder Thera always said that the strongest plants grow from ground that has known both sunshine and storm. "We will plant her garden again, but bigger and more beautiful than before." Admiral Kim landed his shuttle in the embassy courtyard. He was a tall, serious man who moved with military precision, but his eyes were kind when he looked at the Zilani children gathering around his ship. "Ambassador Park," he said formally, "the Krex Empire has been neutralized. Their territory will be administered by human peacekeeping forces until new governments can be established. The freed populations are already celebrating." "What about General Vorthak?" Minjun asked. "He will stand trial for war crimes, but first, he will help rebuild what he destroyed. The Krex soldiers will work to repair the damage they caused. They will learn that strength comes from building, not tearing down." That night, there was no celebration. The victory felt hollow, without Elder Thara to share it. Instead, humans and Zilani worked together to plant the first seeds of the new garden. They worked by the light of human ships overhead, protected by friends who had crossed the galaxy to help them. As Minjun placed Elder Thara's seed in the rich soil, he made a promise to her memory. "This garden will grow. Our friendship will last forever. And anyone who tries to destroy something beautiful will face the same fire that protected it." The seed felt warm in the alien earth, ready to grow into something stronger and more beautiful than anything that had come before. The gift of human friendship would indeed be everlasting. But so would the memory of what happened to those who tried to destroy it. 5 years had passed since the Krex War ended. The galaxy was a different place now, shaped by lessons learned in fire and friendship on a small world called Kepler 442c. The new garden was magnificent. It covered 3 times the area of Elder Thara's original creation, spreading across hills and valleys in a rainbow of colors that could be seen from orbit. Human flowers grew beside Zilani trees, while plants from dozens of other worlds added their own beauty to the living masterpiece. At the center stood a crystal monument, grown by Zilani artisans and carved by human craftsmen. Inside the crystal, Elder Thera's original seed had sprouted into a tree unlike any other. Its branches held flowers from every world that had joined the human-Zilani alliance. Its roots touched a spring of the purest water, cleaned by machines that never stopped working. Minjun walked through the garden every morning, as he had for 5 years. He was older now, with silver in his black hair and laugh lines around his eyes. The sacred crystal Elder Thara had given him still hung around his neck, repaired but forever marked by the cracks from that terrible day. Today was special. A ship from the former Krex homeworld was arriving with a delegation of young students. They came to study what their teachers called the most important place in the galaxy. Kira met Minjun at the monument. She wore the robes of a Zilani elder now, having taken Elder Thara's place as leader of her people. But she also wore a human diplomatic badge, making her the first being in galactic history to hold leadership roles in 2 species. "The Krex students are nervous," she reported in perfect human standard. "Their teacher says they have been studying our history for months, but they are still afraid we will hate them for what their empire did. Fear often comes from not understanding," Minjun replied in fluent Zilani. "That is why we invite them here. Let them see what their people's actions led to, both the destruction and the rebuilding." A transport shuttle landed gently on the platform human engineers had built from Krex metal. 20 young Krex emerged, led by their teacher. They looked nothing like the fierce warriors their empire had once produced. These were artists, scientists, philosophers, and healers. The transformation of Krek society had been complete. The teacher, an older female named Zethka, approached with deep bows of respect. Ambassador Park, Elder Kira, we are honored by your invitation. Our young ones have many questions about the war and its aftermath. One of the students, barely adult by Krek's standards, stepped forward nervously. Honored ones, we have studied the records. We know our empire did terrible things, but we do not understand why you helped rebuild our worlds instead of destroying them. Why did you not punish us all? 2. Minjun smiled and gestured to the garden around them. Come, let me show you something. He led the group to a special section of the garden where plants grew in careful patterns. Each cluster told a story. Here were the water purifiers that had saved Zelani children, growing beside flowers that represented the Krek's worlds now free from tyranny. There were medicinal plants developed by Dr. Chen and Kira, surrounded by sculptures made from recycled Krek's weapons. This garden teaches us about gifts and consequences, Minjun explained. When humans first came here, we gave gifts freely. Water purifiers, medicine, knowledge, friendship. Those gifts created something beautiful. He pointed to a section where twisted metal had been shaped into artistic forms. When the Krek's empire destroyed that beauty, they faced consequences. But even our anger was meant to protect and rebuild, not just to punish. A young Krek student touched one of the metal sculptures. This was made from our warships? Yes, Kira answered. Every weapon your empire brought here was melted down and turned into something helpful. Guns became tools for farming. Armor became playground equipment for children. Even the worst things can be transformed into something good. Dr. Chen joined the group, now bearing the title of Chief Medical Officer for the Alliance. She carried a tablet showing medical statistics from across the former Krek's territory. Look at these numbers, she told the students. Before the war, average lifespan in Krek space was 43 years. Now it is 78 years. Child mortality has dropped by 90%. Starvation has been eliminated on every former Krek's world. But how? Asked another student. We were your enemies. You were never our enemies, Minjun corrected gently. Your leaders were our enemies. Your people were prisoners of a system that taught violence and conquest. When we freed you from that system, you became our friends. The group walked to another section of the garden where children from a dozen species played together. Human, Zelani, and Krek's children laughed as they chased each other around flowers that grew in impossible colors. Former enemies had become playmates in a single generation. Teacher Zethka watched her students observing the children. This is what the old empire could never understand. True strength does not come from forcing others to obey. It comes from inspiring them to cooperate. Admiral Kim, now retired but still living on Kepler 442c, as a security advisor, approached the group. He walked with a slight limp from an old injury, but his presence still commanded respect. Students of the new Krek's Federation, he said formally, do you know why your people lost the war? The young Kreks exchanged nervous glances. Finally, one answered, because humans had better weapons and ships? No, Admiral Kim replied. We won because we were fighting to protect something we loved. Your empire fought to take something they wanted. Love is always stronger than greed. He gestured to the monument at the garden center. Elder Thara died protecting this place because it represented hope and friendship. When she died, every human in the galaxy felt that loss. We did not fight with anger alone. We fought with grief, with love, with the desperate need to preserve something beautiful. In the evening, the Krek students joined a ceremony that happened every year on this day. Beings from across the galaxy gathered to plant new seeds in Elder Thara's garden. Each seed represented a world that had joined the Alliance, choosing cooperation over conquest. As the ceremony began, Minjun held up the original seed Elder Thara had given him. It had been kept in a special preservation chamber, waiting for this moment. 5 years ago, a wise being told me that gifts freely given create bonds stronger than metal, he announced to the crowd. Today we plant the last seed from that original gift. It will grow into a tree that represents our promise. Never again will beautiful things be destroyed for conquest. The seed went into the soil at the base of the crystal monument. As soon as it touched the earth, Zelani nearby began to sing their ancient growing songs. Human children added their voices in harmonies they had learned at school. Even the young Krex students hummed along, their deep voices blending with the others. As night fell and the ceremony ended, the Krex teacher approached Minjun one final time. "Ambassador Park," she said, "my students will return home with a new understanding, but they also carry a question that troubles them. They want to know, if another empire arises and threatens this peace, will humanity's wrath destroy worlds again?" Minjun looked up at the stars, where human ships still patrolled quietly to keep the peace. "We hope never to be tested again. But yes, if something beautiful is threatened, if innocents are harmed, if gifts of friendship are answered with violence, then humanity will respond. Our capacity for love and our capacity for war come from the same source. We will always protect what we cherish." He touched the crystal around his neck, feeling its warmth. "But we also believe that every being in the universe has the capacity to choose friendship over conquest. The Krex proved that. So did dozens of other species that joined us peacefully. Our gifts are everlasting because we give them with hope, not fear." The young Krex students departed the next morning, their shuttle loaded with seeds from Elder Thara's garden. They would plant them on their homeworld, creating a living reminder of the lessons learned here. The teacher promised that every Krex child would visit Kepler 442c before reaching adulthood, to see firsthand what their people had almost destroyed and what they had helped to build. As their ship disappeared into hyperspace, Kira and Minjun stood in the garden watching the sunrise paint the alien flowers in shades of gold and purple. "Do you think they understand?" Kira asked. "The young ones do," Minjun replied. "They will teach their own children, and the cycle will continue. Elder Thara's garden will keep growing, in soil and in hearts, for as long as beings choose kindness over cruelty." Above them, the crystal monument caught the morning light and scattered it across the garden in rainbow patterns. Inside the crystal, Elder Thara's tree swayed gently in the breeze, its branches heavy with impossible flowers that bloomed in every season. The gift of human friendship was indeed everlasting, and the memory of human wrath served as an eternal guardian, ensuring that beautiful things would always have protectors in the vast darkness of space.